especially in Sotogrande with the international school, the waiting list so big.
Yeah.
But because there people are not coming just for holidays or for spend 2 weeks or 2 months. The people are coming here for living. The COVID situation with the lockdown, now many people say, okay, I'm gonna live. And I live better in these kind of places rather than in a city.
Yeah.
I keep an apartment in a city.
Yeah. No, I'm seeing
but
that
I'm
as well.
coming for living here. Is the place for enjoy the rest of your life.
Welcome to Charlie in Sotogrande, the podcast where we look at the people, the places, and the passions that make Sotogrande this fantastic community it is. Today, I'm joined by Alejandro Ponce de Leon, managing partner of Triay España. With over 20 years' experience in the real estate, inheritance, and private client law, Alejandro is not only a trusted legal advisor to residents and investors in Sotogrande, but also part of the prestigious legal legacy. His firm Triay dates back to 1905 in Gibraltar. Based in the heart of Sotogrande, Alejandro brings calm, strategic perspective to the often complex legal issues facing property owners today. From short-term rental regulations to community governance and organizations like Valgrande and El Polo de Sotogrande. Whether you're buying, selling, or simply living here, this is a conversation packed with clarity and expert insight. So just before we start, please don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. It'll be very helpful to get some traction on it. Thank you. Alejandro, how would you introduce yourself to someone who has never met you?
Good question. For many years, the answer will be I'm Alejandro the lawyer, but now I used to say I'm father of 2 kids, and I'm a sportman, and also I'm a lawyer for the last 20 years working in Sotogrande, Marbella, but I'm coming from Madrid when I began my career as lawyer. So.
Okay, cool. Tell us a little bit about your professional journey. Where did you study law? Why law? Where did you begin working? How did you get to Sotogrande? What's the journey there?
Well, that's part of my life, or main of my life. Okay, and study. I couldn't say that my aim from the beginning was to be a lawyer, but it is true that my father. They study law. Doesn't mean
your grandfather and your father.
Yeah. And my grandfather.
And your great-grandfather.
Yeah, but they just study because that was very common in this kind of families.
Yeah.
Okay, we are coming from the north of Spain, from Burgos and Valladolid, and even that you are not working as lawyer, you study law.
Yeah.
Okay, that is something different.
Okay.
No, probably in many places. I don't know. In England, you could be lawyer, but studying laws, you could be solicitor, barrister, clerkman, businessman, wherever.
Judge.
And that's so. Even that my family for many years studied laws in Valladolid or in Madrid. I have cleared to be a lawyer when I was ending my scholarship.
Yeah.
Okay, and later I moved to. At the beginning, Madrid, but later I moved to Granada. It was a nice experience. Granada is a great city for the university people. And then I moved to Madrid to complete my career as lawyer doing a master. That's typical career in Spain, okay? And doing my specialization in companies called Asesoría Jurídica de Empresas. Focus on business. And I was so lucky. And I joined one of the biggest and largest law firm in Spain. This is Garrigues, very well-known law firm.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
And there I begin to learn in the profession. You know that when you are in the university, you have some knowledge, you acquire some skills. But really, to understand what means be lawyer is when you practice.
Practice it, yeah.
Okay.
In reality.
And in Madrid was an amazing experience. But life in big cities, different than Marbella or Soto, but it was a strong and beautiful experience with the classic working hard and playing hard, sleeping not too much, as you can imagine. But for me was a dream. Joined one Big Four.
Yeah. Tell me something. I'm from South America originally, and there's a Ponce de Leon y Rodriguez.
That's me.
Is that you? Is that your family?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
so
it's Ponce de Leon. Ponce de Leon is one of the oldest families in Spain.
Yeah.
And there are several famous Ponce de Leon, not me.
Maybe one day.
But I don't know. We got Conquer, like the famous Juan Ponce de Leon, someone who invented the Braille system, and other people. There are many Ponce de Leon very well known. And what I can mention connected with laws and the law wall is Luis Diaz Picazo y Ponce de Leon, that is a cousin of my father. Is one of the most famous and very well reputed in the world, in Europe, continental system, in continental system for civil law. Okay. He wrote the main books for everyone to study. Luis Diaz Picazo Ponce de Leon. He was a judge in the High Court and many things.
So we established you from a well-known family. You studied law. You went to Garrigues, and then you ended up in Triay somehow.
Well, from Garrigues, I moved to a developer in Madrid, one of the biggest in Spain. Then I take some experience in real estate world and town planning. I moved from the law firm theoretically to have better life, to improve my life and my balance between personal and professional career. But the point was that it was in 2001. And what happened in 2001? The real estate world
fell apart.
Was massive at that time. We were building more properties than United States of America, France, and Italy. At the same time, was interesting timing in the real estate world. Many mistake was done at that time. I learned from some of them. But at that time, in 2004, my father passed away, and that was a message to me that living in Madrid, just working a lot. At that time, I moved from the developer to a family office. Yeah. But then I received the message that, look, Alejandro, work hard is really important, and you need to do it. But what about your family, your friends? What about another life? Yeah. That doesn't mean that we don't work. No, you know very well that how hard we can work here.
Okay, thank you very much for that background. Just one question that I must ask you, because you mentioned Granada. Is that where you learned to ski? Because I gather you're a good skier, is that right?
Well, that's only the truth. Only that if I got one skill will be skiing.
And you go very regularly into Granada. Yeah. You are a monitor.
At that time when I was in the university, I need to help at home, adding some money. Okay. And then I got two options. One will be working in a small bank called Caja Granada, and the other one will be a ski instructor. Okay. So you can imagine. Finally, but that's is something that I strongly recommend to the young people. Okay, study in the university, but do things. Work
a little bit.
Take experience. Thank you. Because I was a ski instructor, I moved to Argentina in the summer for
winter there.
For earning some money for the next winter. Yeah. I went to Austria for skiing. I met many people when I was really young, 18, 19, 20. Yeah. But has the opportunity to work with different perspective, with different people. You move from your scope. Yeah. And for me, it was something that part of the lawyer that now now I am, is because that.
Yeah, cool. Let's get on to some...
And finally, we go every single weekend, because from Marbella and Sotogrande is really close for going for skiing, and it's an amazing ski resort. Yeah. During the weekends, it's a little bit crowded.
Yeah.
But it's still knowing the area, you can ski and enjoy a lot.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you. Let's get into some boring stuff. From a legal perspective, okay, how would you describe the current state of the Spanish real estate property market? Generally, is it solid? Are we good? Are we? I know the Spanish. I mean, we are here in the beginning of July 2025. There's an awful lot of terrible things going on in the government, that they're finding, all sorts of things that which is all bad news really for the real estate market because of just the comments that have been made on a 100% tax and all this sort of stuff, which just scares people away and doesn't think serious. So from a legal perspective,
from legal perspective, first of all, this 100% announced by the government never goes to anywhere. But talking about real estate market from legal perspective, let me tell you that after living in Madrid and do business or help people to do business from the legal perspective in the whole territory in Spain, there are 3 different markets. Okay, we got big cities, Madrid and Barcelona, now Malaga,
Valencia,
and Valencia are one animal. Okay, they are doing big developments, more than 200, 300 building properties, apartment or flats. You got their facilities associated, linked to the distribution. You got industrial. You got building, office building. That's one different market.
Cities.
Okay, cities. You got the coast products, and we can say that Costa del Sol, Costa de Cádiz, the East Coast, Levante, Valencia, Alicante, that's something similar.
Costa Brava.
Costa Brava, that you could say that, and you got the rest of the territory, that is a medium to lower price, different product. Even when the developers are designing with the architect and sitting with the architect, say, what we can do? The distribution of the bedrooms, the kitchen, everything is different in these 3 different places, no? Or 3 different markets, if you want to say.
Right. And that's because of demand being different. You have a very international demand on the coast. You have a very more Spanish, traditional.
Yeah, but generally speaking, it's in a good shape, we can say. And different shapes in every single place.
Okay. So what are the most common legal mistakes and maybe misunderstandings that foreign buyers make when they're purchasing in Spain? Before they come in, and I always recommend the first thing you should do is get a lawyer. But what are the mistakes that people make?
You need to understand how someone from abroad comes to Spain because a friend told about how fantastic is Spain, or spend a holidays, summer in a hotel. Then, okay, I'm gonna do the step ahead and try to invest in apartment, in a property, villa, wherever. Okay, the pressure from the agents, time by time, is so strong that they are anxious to take something. Okay, and you need to today. I mean, before the lawyer, you can obtain many information from Google, from Googling, or
online, everywhere.
Before taking a step, okay, just try to obtain the proper information. Later, I strongly recommend to hire a lawyer because Spain is a special place with for example, for Anglo-Saxon system, for the civil law and the continental system, some similarities, but are different, totally different. And then try to rent something and stay and live where you are trying to do your first investment and later do the investment. That could be my advice. And of course, hire professional, not only a lawyer. The agent should be a professional, and not always, as you very well know, there's not so many professionals. And also hire a lawyer. There, for example, in Sotogrande, all of my colleagues are very good colleagues and reputed lawyers and people doing the things in the right way. So any of them.
No, that's clear. I mean, the real estate agents along the costa here, some are not that reputable. I know, well, we are now, Noel here, part of the LPA, the leading property agents. They are wanting to at least auto-regulate ourselves, so in a way that we can do that, and hopefully even have regulation. Like in Valencia, I think they're sort of trying to do that as well, and in other parts, maybe in Madrid as well. So agents really should be regulated. That's something that I feel very strongly about. And we should, not have people that just decide to be an estate agent one day to the next.
Let me tell you something. It's incredible how day by day we are the government putting in force more and more laws, rules, directives, many things. And in a world that everything is regulated, the agents are not regulated.
It's ridiculous.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
okay?
Absolutely.
Because we got many taxes, we got many obligations, many requirements. So it's a sensitive product.
Yeah.
No, it's not. No, you are not buying something simple.
Yeah,
you are buying
a big investment,
a complex investment. That means consequences in terms of taxes, civil matters, liability. So you need to understand what then you need a professional beside you.
Yeah,
okay, not only a lawyer, the agent as well.
Yeah, someone to hold your hand going through the process, which isn't. I mean, I keep saying to people, the legal system here is not complicated. It's just different to where you come from. And
right.
Once you understand exactly how it works, it's actually very straightforward. But you need to understand the way it is.
Well let me do. Yes, to try to clarify something. For me, it's easy and simple. Real estate business. Town planning is a different animal. Yeah. It's a different world and it's complex. It's not easy. But if we are talking about real estate, and when we are talking about real estate, when a property is licensable, I don't know if the word is
licensable
or exists in English, but when you are able to obtain a license, from then on, we are talking about real estate, immobiliary. Yeah. But town planning,
that's different.
That's different.
Yeah.
That's more complex. You need lawyers, architects, and engineers. That's not easy.
That's a different thing altogether. Okay. Have legal concerns increased due to the new rental regulations or urbanization disputes that we seem to be having at the moment? No, not so much urbanization, but the new rental regulations. Could you summarize the new rental regulations in a very short way so that people can understand what it is, what it was before and what we have to do now?
Yeah, well, before at the beginning, you own a property, you are allowed to rent it in long term, short term. That was the classic one, okay? Then, say, I don't know, 15 years ago or something like that, maybe before, the tourist properties, okay, using the platforms, that's the key point, the platforms. When you are using a platform like Airbnb or Booking or something like that, from then on, and you are renting the property per night or per week, okay? Then it's a different than short-term lease and long-term lease. Now we got something intermediary, okay? And that's works pretty well. The hotel's lobby tried to stop it, but they couldn't, and then create a new market, okay? You are looking for rent apartment for a month, for a week, for 3 days, okay? Then this has an impact in the communities for example, one of the big communities here in Sotogrande that is mainly residential and are really expensive apartments said, okay, that's not the aim of this condominium, of this urbanization. What we want is to be calm, and then they forbidden.
Because Airbnb people, they literally come to the door, get the key from the door, but in urbanizations, you've got a security. You've got to get through security, and then you have to go in
to the facilities. For example, this condominium that I'm talking about has a beautiful facilities, 3 different pools, spa, gym, many facilities.
We name it.
Okay, and then someone who rent for 2 nights was able to enjoy those facilities, and the rest of the owners that are paying expensive monthly fee payment for the community are not happy, but it's not a matter that someone enjoy the pool beside me. It's the kind of people who used to do this rent or a small short-term rent, and then become the problems, the issues between traditional. Because clearly in the apartments there are many people renting for short term, but are different people than the licencias turísticas.
Okay, All right. So then we have this new change. Okay.
Okay,
So
that's the second,
yeah,
if
so-
you want to say, the second stage for this kind of property. Classic wall,
yeah.
short term and long term. Intermediary, when begin the people using Airbnb or the rest of platforms with this licencia turística, okay, and they were allowed to rent for per night, and then begin the regulation, mainly because the hotels ask that you need to do something to, again, you need to, in a world that everything is under control, you need to control what the people are doing with the apartments, okay? And then begin a change in the law, in the property law, Ley de Propiedad Horizontal, that say, no, from now on, you don't need unanimity. You remember that for changing anything in a owner's community, in a condominium, you need unanimity.
Yeah.
That's quite impossible,
Yeah.
okay? And so they say, okay, you don't need unanimity for this. If you want to forbid partially this kind of apartments, you 5,
Yeah.
okay, and then you can forbid or reduce or mitigate the possibility that that the people has this kind of activity.
Okay.
And in some cities like San Sebastian, they do their own regulation, only in the first floor, for example.
And they can do that.
Yeah.
So local autonomies can do that.
The conflict used to be, imagine you are in a building, you need to take the lift for going to the top floor.
Yeah.
Okay? But if you are the typical neighbors, there are 10 families. But now you got people coming and come out for holidays, and they are using the lift, and they are not respecting in the same way that is if your neighbor, you are looking your neighbor every single year per year.
Yeah,
but these people are coming for a couple of days.
Yeah.
And this kind of conflict, they try to do, but then city by city or town by town try to do their own regulation. Then the government say, no, we need a regulation for the whole territory. And then we pass to one reasonable point that should be regulated to the opposite. Everything is forbidden.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not the way.
No.
At least I can see that this really works.
Is this in a way, and again, we touched on it, the government, there's a big issue with affordable housing in Spain, as in many other countries. And it seems that the government are using this as an excuse that foreigners are coming here to invest in property. The property they're not using it themselves is for business. Therefore, they put them onto Airbnb. They put them onto this thing. That's causing the prices of property to go up, and therefore the lower entry level in Spain is gone so high that people can't afford to get into it. Is that just a red herring? Is that just noise that the government have? Is that just political?
An excuse.
It's an excuse. Okay.
It's an excuse.
Yeah.
The issue, and that's not particular for Spain. And we got friends around the world, and we know that a policeman or teacher in many places in the world are having troubles to find a home.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not only for Spain.
No, it's everywhere. Yeah.
But in Spain, we got a real problem with
affordable housing.
With the properties.
Yeah.
We got a real, but the way to fix it or sort it is not attacking this kind of business. The way for solve it, I mean, that's not today debate about. And if you want, I will be happy to discuss with you
day.
about it. But that's another day. But in the same way that, for example, treat the foreign people to, you will pay 100% double taxes than the other, doesn't make sense, because the non-resident people means a small percentage over the total cake.
Yeah.
And same thing with the apartamentos turísticos. The prices are growing or reducing, not because the apartamentos turísticos. No. That's a different problem. It should be regulated. My answer is yes, but not forbidden everything and putting more problems and more papers on top of the matter.
Yeah. What risk do owners face if they ignore the rules?
Well, as for for sure, this enter in force this week, 1st of July.
Yeah.
Okay, so at the beginning, and nobody knows because nobody received a fine or something, an inspection, but what law says is you are not doing the whole proceeding for, and they add another requirement. You need to obtain your license, that's in force for the last, I don't know how many years, but many. You obtain the license from Junta Andalucía, but later you need, using the number, the number you got, register in a special register called Ventanilla Única, and later redirect a link to Registro de la Propiedad. So in the land registry, in Registro de la Propiedad, if your property has this license, will appear the number and that you are regulated property for short term, not short term, for vivienda vacacional. Okay? If you don't, then what law says that you could receive a fine from 2,000 to 500,000 euros, something like that. I don't have exactly the figure, but are huge fines. And what for individuals, that's not good, could be something that the people react immediately. Who is reacting and very fast? The platforms. Booking and Airbnb don't want this kind of problem because they are co-liable, okay? They are getting liability if they are announcing properties without the permit. And they are receiving also the fine, but you can receive the fine. In the next month, we will see if they are putting in place new inspector. They need to hire or contract inspector and how they can do this inspection. They are allowed to knock in your door, by the way, but we will see.
Yeah. So just in summary, a few years ago, everybody could just rent their apartment or their house with a little contract, no problem. You could advertise it, it was no pressure. Then a touristic code came in, which is a license, and that is because of the hotel lobbying and all of that. And we see them, I, for example, as a real estate agent, have to have the number before I'm allowed to publish it, and anything I have for rent should have that number, and it does. Then we got into this registering thing, the registro. So that's the next thing which starts this week, and that's a little bit more hard, and it's aimed principally to the platforms.
Exactly.
Okay, not so much to the individuals that want to sell.
That's it.
Okay. You think it's going to hold? Because I gather there's a huge backlog in the registro that it's impossible for people to get the number. I mean, it's an administrative nightmare.
Yeah, that's why I say that theoretically the individual or the platform could receive a fine, but we will see when they receive a fine, because if you are not able to be according to the law, no one can put a fine for this. Yeah. Okay, that's something that has a clear and immediately impact in the platforms. They are not permitting you to announce your property except you got the license, and everybody has in mind that need to do the proceeding.
Okay, enough of that. I think it's very complicated, but thank you for clarifying a lot of that. Let's move on to communities. Here they've got Valgrande, you have El Polo, you have several, Los Gazules, you have all these communities. This is life, and I've written in the newspaper about it. You'll see about, how, you get angry because someone upstairs is making noise and you can hear them, or someone's smoking in the staircase, and there's always conflict, as humans do. The communities like Valgrande and El Polo often struggle with disagreements among the owners. What is a typical legal challenge that you see in communities? Is it a big problem, or is it usually solved by the community, the meeting, or do you get to a serious legal issue position? Well,
you say something relevant. This is human beings, okay? From the very beginning, when we start living together in communities, you got this kind of issues, this kind of problems. So the way that you can solve legally this problem is in the same way that you care your tribu, your group.
Tribe.
What you do? First of all, try to do an amicable approach. Okay, say, look, I know that you are young people, for example, if we are talking about noise,
Yeah.
or I know that you love the cats, and you adore in Francais the dogs,
Yeah.
but you got 5 at home, and it's a real problem with the rest of the community. So, but first of all, approached by the president of the community or the manager. If doesn't work, call the lawyer. Lawyer also do a kind approach, or try to
An amicable approach.
amicable approach. And finally, if doesn't work, I strongly recommend send an official letter, okay, from the lawyer. Say, look, according to the law, you are doing a non-permitted or noisy activity or whatever activity forbidden by your rules, by your estatutos, and then you got a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, depending on what kind of problem the neighbor is generating, and if not, go directly to the court, because the point is that, and maybe the last sentence I said sounds rude, but it's not rude. Imagine you got 50 neighbors, and you got one that got, I don't know, dogs, or the volume of the music in 3 in the morning every single day. So you are being a little bit aggressive, if you want to say that after the amicable approach and everything. Yeah. But finally you are protecting 49 against 1. Yeah. So it's not rude. It's do the necessary step until you arrive to go to the court. But if you need, go to the court. Mm.
What about, I mean, a thing that concerns me, we're all looking for new solar energy, okay? And in one of these units, usually there's a block or there's, and to put solar energy in, you need to go on the top. And the guy that lives in the bottom or the middle really has no opportunity to put something for himself if they want to invest. Are communities doing this for the community somehow, so they're solving the problem that way? Is there a law to stop someone who has a penthouse putting it up there if no one can see it, if it's out of the way?
That's an interesting and gray area that we discuss about it. Why? Because the roof of the communities are common areas. Of course, within that, especially for the big dominions, the big communities, you are spending many money in the communal areas. But also, what you are suggesting is that what about if I own my penthouse, my top floor is mine, but are allowed to put solar panels or wherever? Depends of what kind of community, if it's something that everybody could see or not, and at the end, common sense, Charles. You can do the approach to the president of the community. Look, I mean that could be convenient for me, but also for if I try or I do first and see that it works and I saving a lot of money in electricity, maybe that's be the first step for that many of us, or maybe the community does. And it's something that has not much impact in the rest of the community because nobody can see my roof. Yeah, exactly. And I'm not generating view problems to anyone because there's nobody behind me. So normally the president will tell you, okay, no problem. Yeah. But this case by case.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. The market outlook. We live in Sotogrande. You know Sotogrande very well. It is primarily still a secondary home. Therefore, people coming here don't necessarily use it full time. It's a investment which is secondary to your primary home, wherever you may be. And we are subject to huge geopolitical movement. I can tell you that because it's, Mr. Trump opens his mouth and it can be good or bad. The stock exchange can go up or can go very much down. So someone thinking of coming out from the US, suddenly they've got a different issue. We have a war in Eastern Europe between Russia and Ukraine, and that causes uncertainty and fear by certain people coming over here. The Middle Eastern thing is an issue. We've had clients from Canada, but with connections back there that I've had literally who have said, stop until I don't know what happens over there. I'm not going to do anything else. So we're subject to geopolitical noise and therefore eventually that. How do you see that? Because I only see my clients. You must see many, many more. How do you see that evolving here? Is it a big thing? Is it something that you think will pass? Wars never pass. That's the problem.
My view about it, and you can imagine, in Marbella and Sotogrande, with the kind of people, with all the lawyers, it's a commune conversation.
Yeah.
Okay. What we are looking is that was a dream and an aim that many people do many effort and investment to arrive to this point, to try to
attract
this kind of people for living here and living as primary place, okay? And that's why we see that especially in Sotogrande with the international school, there a waiting list so big, but because there people are not coming just for holidays or for spend 2 weeks or 2 months. The people are coming here for living, or living at least say 8 months, okay, maybe more. And because everything is happening and nobody knows what is the next scale of dramatic situation, people, and also link it with the COVID situation, with the lockdown. Now many people say, okay, I'm gonna live, and I live better in these kind of places rather than in a city. I keep an apartment in a city.
No, I'm seeing that.
But I'm coming for living here.
But your experience is that more and more people are coming, and all these things are just.
Remember that we are in an interesting time, and there's many movements that got impact. For example, you mentioned war, politician, but remember that the people now are moving from the world, from China to Europe, from Africa to America, from America to, and that's has consequences. Many of them pretty good consequences. Mix for me is something good. Okay, we went to America, but also has impact. For example, in Sweden. In Sweden now they are feeling something that we felt many years ago. No a problem. The situation with the people from Africa. Okay, that's changed. Change the shape that your neighborhood is, and then many of them are coming here. There's plenty of Sweden people, Marbella, plenty of.
Well, that's significant. Where people start leaving their own country because something's happening there, in big numbers.
And
it's not for holiday. It's not for the sun.
But let me say something and suggest your future. Okay. I see in not many years, and this is something that happened in Benahavís or in Palma de Mallorca in a small town, the future mayor of San Roque will be Charlie Gubbins. Or someone from abroad who speaks fluent English, or French, or both of them in your case. But you know what I mean. In not many years, because Marbella, Alcaidesa, Sotogrande, the area now is, our kids are playing with Russian kids, with French kids, with Sweden, with Spanish, of course. But it's third generation people. I don't know. I'm thinking in common friends that the children, the kids, they are not children. They are getting married right now, and they're having kids. So most of us will be granny no many times. You are?
Yes, I am.
A proud grand. But the generation is now are living here, third, fourth generation of people that come from abroad, think in a different way, or we're creating a new kind of people here, and I'm totally sure, and I mean we will be lucky when we got a mayor that born in Liverpool, or wherever, or in Orlando or another city. You know what I mean? So we are moving to a new reality, and that has a clear impact in real estate.
Yeah.
Why? Because when I coming from Oslo or from Stockholm, I feel more safe and comfortable if there are many more people from Stockholm.
Of course.
And we can share. And where are you? Your grocery supermarket, wherever. No, here you can find this product in the same way that we find in Sweden. So.
No, it's a fact. The whole cost is becoming more and more cosmopolitan, and mixed. You know, and you only have to look at number plates. You know, the number of PL number plates, Polish or CZ, you know, the Czech. You see them, and then the Germans. The Germans are the
German, for example, they are a huge community,
and there are many of them. You know, and you know they will be coming more and more, I'm sure. Okay, moving on. What would be maybe your most memorable and challenging case that you've worked on here in Sotogrande?
Wow.
Not a criminal one. Let's do something.
Well, a few of them. No, I'm happy. For example, you mentioned communities. That's not one of our main specialization, but helping Valgrande community from 2009 to today, we are the lawyer. And in Valgrande happen many things, but we are proud about helping them to pass all the situation, the lockdown, or the crisis that has a strong impact in any community, and helping the owners to enjoy a beautiful place like Sotogrande and Valgrande in short. And that's one thing but mainly being here for the last 18 years, no? That we help many people, and now we are in a situation that time by time we receive a sad email or someone passed away, and you back and say, "Well, you remember in 2008, 9, 10 when he comes, we met one other, going out for dinner, the best." A common client that also is in the heaven. Take an apartment and for apartment in the marina. Okay, I like it. Take a berth, take a villa, take another villa, build 3 villas, sell the villas. You know that I mean that after years and being that the balance between, but all of us has the best day in your life, and you can do some mistake. But the balance in our case in Triay lawyers is a very good balance of happy clients, and we are happy to find someone and share half a beer or have something and tell about the kids, the grand or wherever. That I mean that's the success. Okay, to transform or that a client become a friend. Okay, that's the real success rather than we want many legal proceedings at the court, but that's for me that success is the other, is happy clients.
Now that I've been invited to podcasts in Marbella, we've done podcasts here, the issue of the difference between Marbella and Sotogrande always comes up, and we have various reasons. How do you see the difference of the client who loves Sotogrande and maybe not like Marbella, and vice versa? Because they're very
polite answer. No, because Sotogrande is growing up a lot, okay, and now is not only for vacation, is a permanent resident for many people. So now are coming to similar in many things than Marbella. But the tradition from Sotogrande is more for families, more quiet place. Someone could say boring. What for example, just kidding, no? People used to say, no, Sotogrande is boring. Toston Grande, no? And what the Sotogrande people say, no, Marbella is so off place, it's for flashing. And so both of them are wrong, both of them. Well, okay, I mean, the aim is that in Sotogrande you want to find a more quiet place, And in Marbella, you are looking for more ambient.
Yeah.
Okay, but at the end, and it's funny, and we share this vision. Are different places or are the same places with different neighborhoods?
Yeah,
okay?
that's what
different blocks, but it's the same city.
I call Sotogrande district of Marbella, because Sotogrande is not a city. Sotogrande doesn't have a downtown. Sotogrande doesn't have a massive mall, and therefore that's where I go. Or Algeciras.
Yeah, you know that I spend many time in Sotogrande. I live in Marbella, and I used to go to La Cañada like every single people in Sotogrande. I found there thousands of people from Sotogrande and Gibraltar as well.
Shopping,
for shopping, and it's same thing than Madrid. Is La Moraleja in the north of Madrid different than Madrid? It's different. Yeah. But it's not part of Madrid. It's part of Madrid, absolutely. Yeah. And now it's the same place. So Marbella and Sotogrande are different blocks, or district, as you say.
How would you describe Sotogrande in one sentence?
Interesting. One sentence is the place for enjoy the rest of your life.
The place to enjoy the rest of your life. Terrific. Okay. Alejandro, is there anything that I have not asked you that you wished I had asked you?
You can ask me about if we need another school in Sotogrande.
Alejandro, do we need another school in Sotogrande?
Yes. Well, now there are different projects.
Yeah.
There's not only the international. There's a good school now with the fund, with some issues, but as every single place, there are new projects. But for sure, I mean that it's something demanded by clients that you got a top school, but at the same time, being a top school is high, expensive school.
Yeah.
We got a school, Catholic traditional school in Algeciras, but it's in Algeciras, but also is traditional school in Algeciras, and we will need something in the middle.
Yeah.
And I aware, and you as well, that there are many entrepreneurs trying to do it.
Yep.
But I mean that we need help from the authorities and from the local governments to give chance or opportunities to build this new
So
school.
you go back to planning, as you said, a town hall planning,
For example,
is an
it's
issue.
one of them, but there's many ways
many
for helping people for this kind of project. Because if you say, and in the entrepreneurs meeting that we do every single year, we share for the last 15 years. For example, we say what we need. We will need something social, ambient, and then Torre Guadiaro happened, and now we got tapas. We got the new marina.
Little by little,
little by little, many things was done. What more we need? Obviously, we will need infrastructure, but it's tough. We need water, by the way. We need water, desperately. But what also we need a school. In order to improve a little bit, if it's possible, the situation.
Anyway, on that thought, Alejandro, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We're sure we'll have a school here sometime, hopefully in our lifetime, because it takes time, but it'll be there. Thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome.
Everyone, there you are, Alejandro Ponce, who has just given us some real good information about rental and community legal aspects here in the community, Sotogrande. See you next time.